You get in this car, it's got an inverted 3-speed shifter, handbrake. You're sitting there with the steering wheel behind your knees. A lot's going on. And when you take it up to speed, it just feels like, you know, you need to know where the kill switch is.
All right. The belly tank concept came about through a conversation with Jeff Zwart.
There's kind of automotive and the shapes of cars and the world of cars. And so a few years back, I saw this ad for this belly tank. It's made from the drop tank from a wing of a P-38 that was used during World War II. When I saw this shape, it was like the visual interpretation of speed. I mean, it was so pure. And it was made for only one purpose, which was to go as fast as you could across the lake bed. And so I drove it a couple times, and each time I came back, we got to do a film. So who could I team up with on a film that is all about this culture of speed and kind of creativity? And, you know, Deus came to mind. I thought, well, this is a perfect vehicle to bring to them. Say, let's do a little film together.
It was philosophically everything that Deus was about. On the day of the shoot, we had a lot to do. I mean, we had Jeff's crew, but we also had Dimitri Coste on set. We had a behind-the-scenes crew. We had a dog wrangler. There's a dog in film. There was a lot going on that day. Dimitri Coste is a French photographer and motorcyclist. He has been described as the love child of Evel Knievel and Steve McQueen.
It was very interesting to be in such a quiet and empty place. The challenges of the shoot for me was to be able to work with several photo teams.
There were a lot of people on the shoot. I think there were probably less cameras at the launch of the space shuttle. It was busy out there on Soggy Lake that day. Riley Harper is also a good friend of Deus. He is by trade a stuntman, a stunt driver.
Working with Riley, it's always a pleasure. He makes my job way easier every time. He looks good, he knows how to ride, he knows how to drive, he has excellent style and is very professional.
He wanted the opportunity to drive this car, and we were worried that he wouldn't be able to fit in because it's designed for a very small person.
When Riley showed up, you know, I was like, oh, I'd really love for him to drive it, but I quite honestly don't think he's going to fit in it. In the end, he fit in, and his look and his style for me was very nice to work with.
So he was stoked that he got to drive. The whole thing worked out perfectly. The centerpiece of the whole production was the car, and it was such a beautiful object. When it rolled out of the trail, everyone was kind of like in awe. We only got 5 or 6, I could be wrong, maybe it's 3 or 4 runs in the car.
I mean, the awkward thing on this car is that instead of having a radiator like a typical car would, it actually has a water holding tank. So once the water gets hot in there, there's no air that can move through it. So we're kind of packing it with ice right now to cool it down.
Overall, the day was a huge success. We got to peek over the shoulder of the Russian arm. Camera car came in, we got to see some over-the-shoulder rushes, and it was incredible what he was capturing on that thing.
We're going across the lake bed probably 70 miles an hour. We're tracking along with it, and you just kind of bring the lens to this little bullet going across the lake bed. And that whole moment, it was so timeless. It was you and the car going across this lake bed, and there's a stream of dust coming off of it. And all of us in the camera car kind of looked at each other and go, whoa, that's kind of magical watching this happen.
When the golden light arrives, everything's most beautiful, you know, and then you get inspired like instantly. It's just that magic moment where you know everything's just beautiful. Any angle you look at, that's the best.
This was really a labor of love, you know. It was kind of like I drew from some of my key people. The whole thing kind of gelled really nice, and this is where a collaboration with somebody like Deus, who brings great talent together anyway and has brought kind of a great culture together, it's fun for me to drop into their world, and so it came together really nicely.